welcome to Reflect and Flow. For this class, you need a journal, a writing tool, and two blocks and a strap for the movement part of the practice, the flow part of the practice. So, for our reflection portion, prior to when we get to the flow part, go ahead and have a journal and a writing tool. And I want you to list your top three values, your top three values. And you're more than welcome to pause the video to really reflect on this part because it may take some time to really think about, out of all of your values, what are the top three, the ones that are the most important to you? And then you can resume the video whenever you are ready. And then the second part to that question is, why are those three values the most important to you? Why are they your top three? Okay. And when you are ready, again, you can pause the video. And when you are ready, you can resume. Okay, so for the movement practice, again, just have two blocks and a strap. And we're going to start lying all the way down. So lie on your back, and you can lie with your feet planted, knees knocking in. You can straighten your legs on the floor, or you can even take the soles of the feet together and butterfly the knees out wide. If you want to put your two blocks under your thighs for added support, they're there for you as you need it. Once you find a position that feels comfortable, go ahead and close your eyes, or at least kind of soften the gaze, just kind of soften the body. And at first it may be hard to settle in, maybe fidgeting, trying to get comfortable. But see if you can focus your awareness, your attention on being here, being present. And you may find that as you do that, the body starts to soften. A wonderful tool that we always utilize in the practices that we utilize very often, especially at the beginning, is the breath. So take a deep inhale through the nose and a full exhale out of your mouth. Again, breath in. And this time, instead of exhaling out the mouth, exhale out the nose. Continue breathing on your own, following your breath. And as you focus in on the breath, notice how everything else that is going on in your mind, perhaps anything that happened prior to this moment or anything that's going to happen, any of your plans for the rest of the day after this class, it's no longer relevant, right? You're here now, you're present with the breath, and that is all that matters right now. And the same goes for your values that you just wrote down on that piece of paper. As you really zoom in on what is the most important to you, what are your top three values? It allows you to lead with those values, just as you move through your practice, you lead with your breath, you lead with purpose and intention and deep awareness, instead of just going through the motions or trying to achieve the perfect look to the pose. We can quickly realize that that is not the point of the practice, and instead we can use the body as a means to understand our mind, to understand our habits, and to be more in tune with those values, to be more in tune with the self. Take 3 more cycles of breath here. If your knees are wide in that Supta Baddha Konasana, take your hands to the outsides of your thighs, close your knees in like a book. If your legs are lengthened, you can plant your feet down one at a time. Good. Now pause with your feet planted to the ground, just underneath your knees, about hips width distance apart. Take one hand above your belly button to the front of your ribs, one hand below your belly button to the front of your pelvis. And imagine your pelvis you're going to be rocking on the pelvis. Your tailbone is a paintbrush, or visualize that. So on your inhale, you're going to arch your spine, guiding the tailbone behind you. Exhale, round your back, curling the tailbone underneath you. It's like you're painting forward and back along your yoga mat. So continue doing that, moving the pelvis. And it's really important to move slowly. So that same pace that you had of your breath a moment ago, you want to maintain that here. And the reason why we want to move slowly is so that you can really be in tune with what's happening, right? As we speed through things, we're just trying to rush to get towards a destination oftentimes, that we lose sight of the journey. We lose sight of what's happening in the here and now. So as you move slowly, notice as you arch your back, your belly muscles relax and they're not tensing at all. They're lengthening and the back muscles are contracting or shortening. And then as you round your back, the opposite happens. Your belly contracts, your back muscles lengthen on the floor. And it's not necessarily that the muscles are tightening and relaxing in opposite directions. It just feels that way. But more so what's happening here is that the muscles are contracting in two different types of ways. So we have the back muscles, if those are contracted or shortened, then the belly muscles are contracted but in an elongated position. And then the opposite is true as you move the pelvis in the other direction. And so you can think of it as kind of like a teeter-totter effect, right? As you tighten one side, the other side is trying to maintain that resistance in the opposite direction. And this helps to kind of relax the back muscles, to relax the belly muscles, and to bring more awareness to the pelvis. Take just a couple more here. Last one, arching and rounding. Go ahead and lengthen your legs on the floor for a moment here. And notice any difference in your back. Maybe it feels a little flatter on the floor, just more relaxed and soft. All right, so now we're going to add on a little bit more strength and awareness here in the muscles supporting the pelvis. So plant your feet back down. Take your arms by your side and palms to the floor. Using your arms, push into the ground and lift your pelvis up. So today we're going to be working on or focusing on really contracting the back side of the body. You're in that shortened position into a shape called Dhanurasana or floor bow. So all these muscles that you're working now, the backs of the shoulders pushing into the floor. The back muscles are along the spine, glutes, hamstrings, calf muscles, all of that will be in a shortened or contractile load. Go ahead and lower your hips back down. We're going to do that a couple more times. Lift the hips up, push your arms into the ground. Shoulders working towards extension, hips in extension, knees in flexion, spine in extension. And then lower back down. Keep doing that. Working inhales to lift up, exhales to lower down. And as you work at the pace of your breath, maybe you keep your eyes closed so that you can observe the contraction or the shortening of your muscles in that contractile load. And then as you relax back down, those muscles just kind of soften. Take 3 more like that. And once you are done with those final three, go ahead and lower all the way down. And then you can windshield wiper the legs from side to side. Take the arms out wide like the letter T as you continue doing that. Just windshield wipering, dropping the knees to the left, dropping the knees to the right. And don't worry about, the legs here. Just allow them to fall wherever they fall. And then now pause with your knees to the left. Knees to the left. Press through the insole of your right hip, or right foot rather, to lift up through your right hip. So think like a bridge, but with a twist. So keeping your knees to the left, legs will be staggered. Push through the insole of your right foot. Bridge that right hip up towards the ceiling to extend or lengthen through the front of your right hip. Now pause with your right arm. Start to trace your fingertips along the floor overhead and pause once you hit the right side of your face. Rotate the palm down towards the floor and then reach the right hand past the left hand. So you'll take right palm on top of left and reach kind of at a diagonal towards the upper left corner of the room. And notice how you're creating that length or that tensile load from the back of the right shoulder to your right hip. And then slowly unwind the same exact way you got there, drawing that rainbow overhead with your fingertips and bringing the knees back to center. Good. Now we'll do that in the other direction. Make sure you start with your feet a little bit wider than hips width distance apart. Drop your knees to the right. Press through the insole of your left foot. Feel your left hip bridge up. With your left arm, draw that rainbow overhead. Start with the palm up. And eventually you'll turn the palm down. So going from external to internal shoulder rotation. Reach left hand past the right hand. And notice what you feel sensation-wise going down the left side of your body. And then slowly unwind, bringing the legs back through center, bringing the arms out wide. Good. Now you're going to take two more on your own, working at the pace of your breath. Notice the sequential movement here, starting from the lower body to the upper body. And then as you unwind, it's the reverse, from the upper body to the lower body. So we're just essentially teaching in our body that connection between the lower half of the body to the upper half. And in our shape that we're kind of teaching today in the body, or the mechanics of that shape, that requires those two parts of the body, or I guess you can say sides of the body, the upper and the lower, to really work together. And once you finish 3 total rounds, come to your back and you can relax. You can reset with your feet planted and adjust your arms and relax them by your side. Just notice the difference in your shoulders here. They may feel more relaxed to the ground, not as, stiff or rigid off the floor. All right, so hug your knees to your chest, rock a little bit from side to side. And then you can rock yourself up or you can roll to one side and press up. Okay, so as you come to a seated position, you're going to plant your hands behind you, your feet plant in front of you. And find whatever position feels comfortable for the wrists. So you can turn your hands out, turn them back or forward, whatever works best for you. Press into the fingertips, knuckles, and heels of the hands all equally. Dig your feet into the floor and lift your hips up. So you'll come into a reverse tabletop. So the shoulders are working in that extended position, but at a much deeper range than you did when you're on your back. Then lower your hips down. We're going to do that a couple more times. Again, push down through your hands and imagine like you're trying to reach them back even though they're on the floor. And then you'll lower your hips down. Do that twice more. So this action here in the shoulders, in the hips, in the legs are really what we're going to be working with today. Last one. And then go ahead and have a seat and shake out the wrists. Good. You can circle the wrists in one direction and then take those circles in the other direction. Good. Come onto your hands and knees. We're not going to be on the hands and knees for long, but since we are, let's just prep the wrists a bit more since we were on them a moment ago as well. Rock your body weight forward and back just to apply some loading. And then circle your body in one direction and in the other direction. Good. Again, if you need to shake out the wrists, if you need to circle them, go ahead. Okay. So now what we're going to do is work with the same idea, the same principle that we're doing on the back. But this time, we don't have the floor to push into. We're going to do this in the middle of space. So we're going to use the block to get some extra feedback. It will be challenging, I will forewarn you, but it's a good way to teach the action that we want to work with. So you're just going to need one block for this. You'll take that block to your heel and to your butt. So you want block to heel and to butt as you come onto your hands and knees. Okay, so you're going to squeeze the heel towards the butt to hold that block in place. Notice I'm in my tabletop position on hands and knees. Okay, push into the hands, nice and stable here, and then press that block up towards the ceiling. Okay, so working with knee flexion, hip extension, spinal extension. Then exhale, draw the knee to your nose, keeping hold of that block. You probably won't be able to work as far as you may without the block. Do that twice more. It's okay if you lose the block. This may not be something you're used to, right? We don't do this every day. But this is a good way to train those hamstrings to contract in this contractile loaded position. Then go ahead and rest. And the hamstrings could cramp on you, especially because, right, we may not be used to contracting them in this way. Once you get 3, you can set that block to the side and stretch out through the calf and the hamstrings by tucking those right toes under and rocking a little bit forward and backwards. All right, go ahead and switch sides. So set that block to your left heel and to your butt. So that's what's going to hold it in place. You'll be on your hands and knees, push into the floor, and then press your left foot up towards the ceiling. Knee extension, hip extension, spinal extension. Think cow pose here. Then exhale, drag your knee in, push the floor away. Do that twice more. Last one. Once you get 3 total rounds, set the block to the side. If you're still working, take your time. And then you'll stretch your left leg back, toes curled under, and just rock a little bit forward and back. Good. Once you're done, go ahead and take your blocks with you as you crawl your body to the back of your mat. All right, and you'll come into a kneeling position. And as you're kneeling here at the back of your mat, your toes are curled under, okay? If this feels like it's a little too aggressive, you're more than welcome to put your hands on those blocks and your body weight could be a little bit more forward, okay? Take a breath in wherever you are and a breath out. All right, so now keeping those toes tucked under, lift your knees off the floor and drop your heels to the ground. If that means you have to hover your butt a little bit higher off so that the heels stay grounded, find that, okay? Find any position, but in your squat or any angle in your squat, but keeping the heels to the floor. So whatever angle that is for you, whether it's down low, a little bit higher, or a little bit higher, okay? Take a deep inhale and a deep exhale. Good. Grab those two blocks in your hands, push through your heels and stand. Nice. So your left foot's gonna stay back, step your right foot forward. Good. Blocks to the ground, level 3, lower your back knee to the floor. Untuck your back toes, if that helps the kneecap a little bit here. So you have these two blocks beside you. You can choose to use them or to keep your hands off of them, okay? It just depends on where you are, what you want to work with, what your goals are, right? What's important to you. Take a deep inhale here, arms up. Exhale, hands either to your chest or to the blocks. So if you bring your hands to your chest, it's going to challenge your balance a bit more. With hands to the blocks, it's going to feel more like a stretch. Hands to your chest, sit your butt back, lengthen through your right leg. Now notice, if you're not having your hands on the blocks, it may feel like more work, right? You have to contract through the hamstrings a bit more, even though they're lengthening. You have to hug in through the inner thighs to maintain your balance. Otherwise, if hands to the blocks, it may feel more like a traditional hamstring stretch. Inhale, reach the arms up, or hands to those blocks as you lift the spine upright, rebending into that front knee. Exhale, hands to the blocks, or hands to your chest. Maybe you try switching it up, right? Doing one set with hands to the blocks, one with hands to your chest. It's not that one is necessarily better than the other. It's just that you get different results. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, hands down to the blocks or to your chest, your choice. Take your hands to the blocks, crawl forward into your lunge, and this time lift off your back knee. Good. Now, keeping the chest lifted off of your thigh, but you're still at an angle. Your chest is still kind of forward. Then, maybe you reach your arms by your side like you're flying. Think fingertips back, pinkies together. Now, if you want to work more on just finding engagement in the legs, not necessarily balance right now, hands will stay to the blocks. All right, so from here, right foot stays grounded, right knee stays bent. Step your left foot forward, chair pose Utkatasana. Sit your butt back and down. Maintain length in your spine. So we don't want to round, we don't want to arch, we want to find that middle place, right in between. Take a deep inhale. Exhale, fold down. Hands can come to the floor or to your blocks. Lift halfway, fingertips to the blocks or your shin bones as you reach long through the top of the head. Think like you're headbutting something. Exhale, bend the knees. Move those blocks to the side for now. Plant your hands to the floor and then step back into your plank pose. Option to lower the knees to the ground. Bend your elbows like you're doing a push-up and lower all the way to your belly. Good. Now as you lower down, you're going to take both blocks now to your heels. So you're going to take heel to block, block to butt, and the same goes for the other side. And I know the setup's a little awkward, but same principle as when you were on hands and knees. What I find is useful is to flex those toes towards the ground, like you're stamping your feet. Good. You can relax your forehead to your hands. I want you to think about squeezing the heels to the butt and then trying to lift your knees off the ground. And then you can relax a little bit, but not all the way because you want to keep those blocks in place. You're going to do that twice more. Squeeze your heels to your block, block to your butt, and try to lift those knees off the floor. So working with knee flexion, hip extension, and then relax. Do that one more time. Squeeze in, lift up, and then relax. Take those blocks out, set them to the side, and you can windshield wiper the legs, you can stretch those legs out. All right, just to give them a little bit of a break here. Okay, take your hands underneath your shoulders, push yourself up onto hands and knees, and grab those 2 blocks. We're gonna do that same little sequence on the other side. So as you come onto hands and knees, crawl your blocks with you to the back of your mat as you come into a squat. Toes, or not squat, but kneeling rather. So your toes will be curled under and you're sitting on your heels. Take a breath in and a breath out. Good. This is where those blocks can come in handy. Think about rooting through the heels as you lift your knees up and come into your squat. How low you squat is really going to be dependent on a couple things. How much range you have in the hips, how much range you have in the knees, and how much range you have in the ankles, okay? So working with what you got and holding, maybe hands to the blocks, maybe hands to your chest. Take a breath in and a breath out. Good. Reach down, grab the blocks in your hands, dig through the heels and stand. All right, this time right foot stays to the back of the mat as you step your left foot forward. Lower the blocks down, then lower your back knee down. Good. Maybe you untuck the toes so that feels a little better on the kneecap. And then come into your crescent moon. So you can lift the spine upright, keeping your left knee bent, working towards as much hip extension through that right hip as possible. Hands can stay down to those blocks or arms can reach up. Take a deep inhale. Exhale, hands to your blocks or to your chest as you come into Ardha Hanumanasana. Lengthening through that left leg, maintaining as much stability in the center of your body. We'll do that twice more. Inhale, crescent moon, arms down or arms up, your choice. Exhale, Ardha Hanumanasana. Hands to chest or hands to blocks. Again, your choice. Do that once more. And then take your hands to the blocks as you crawl forward. Tuck the back toes under, lift off your back knee. So again, chest is at an angle, but you're not resting your belly or your chest to your thighs. Fly your arms by your side, think fingertips back, pinkies together. Or again, you can keep your hands onto those 2 blocks. Take a deep inhale and exhale. Keeping your left knee deeply bent, step your right foot beside the left, chair pose, Utkatasana. Sit your butt back and down, arms can reach up, hands can come to your chest, or fingertips can touch the blocks. Take a deep inhale. Exhale, hands to the blocks and fold forward. Good. Keep your fingertips either to the blocks or your shin bones as you lengthen through the very top of your head. Think crown of the head forward. Good. Then bend your knees, move the blocks to the side for now, and step back into your plank pose. Again, as always, you have the option to lower the knees down, bend the elbows, lower all the way to the belly. Good. So this time, instead of taking both heels, or taking both blocks to your heels, you're going to just take one between your ankles. Okay? And this one's a little funny to hold on to, so I like to put it between my feet, flexing my toes towards my knees. And notice how I have the block the widest setting. So nice and wide between your feet. Okay? So once you have it set up, you're going to take your arms by your side, palms down. Lengthen those legs to start. Okay, so you'll be set up in a locust pose. Press your hands into the floor, lift your chest up. Then bend your knees, draw your heels towards your butt. Think like when you had the block between heels and your butt. Then lift your knees up. Maybe you lift your arms off the ground like you're flying. So already we're starting to work towards that shape, Dhanurasana floor bow. Relax your palms down, relax your legs back, forehead down. You're going to do that 2 more times. Push your hands into the floor, helping you to lift the chest. Draw your heels towards your butt. Think about like when you had that block between heels and butt. And then lift your arms off the floor. And then we'll do that 1 more time. Lengthen those legs back, relax down. Keep that block between your feet. Draw your heels towards your butt as you lift the chest and lift your arms. Good. Now, if you're feeling all the compression in your lower spine, think about pressing down through the lowered front part of the pelvis. So that may mean your knees don't lift as high. And notice how that helps to create a little bit more length in your lower back. Try to find as much work in the upper back and then the legs, and then maybe you can start to lift up from there. So you're distributing the load a bit more equally. Release all the way down. You can let go of the block. You can rest your forehead to your hands, and you can bend the knees and windshield wiper the legs. All right, take your hands underneath your shoulders. Press yourself up onto your hands and knees, and you can move that block out from between your legs. You need to rock your hips a little bit side to side, kind of like a more lifted variation of a child's pose. Go ahead and do that. And now we're going to add on to that work that we just did previously. So you're going to grab your two blocks, crawl them with you to the back of your mat. Come into that kneeling position. Okay. All right. So as you come to the back of the mat, tuck your toes under, press your heels down and come into your squat. However low that may be. Really utilizing the legs. If you notice, we're doing a lot of work in the legs. That's going to help to propel the spine or the chest forward and to find a little bit more equal distribution of weight in the legs or in your body. Then grab those two blocks. They're going to be level 3. Dig through the heels and come to standing. Good. So your left foot stays back. Step your right foot forward. If you need to adjust your stance and take your feet a little wider, go ahead. Come into your crescent lunge. Notice both legs or front leg is bent, back leg is soft, okay? And my blocks are relaxed by the side. Take a deep inhale and a deep exhale. Go ahead and drop the block that's in your left hand. Take the one that's in your right. Place it behind your back as you lean forward. So notice I have the block the longest setting. And I'm trying to reach the block as far behind me and up as possible. Now, you're going to hold onto the block with the right hand, keeping it behind you. Reach the left arm forward, circle it back, and grab the block with your left hand. Keep hold of the block in the left hand, circle the right arm forward, reach it up and back, and grab the block with both hands now. Good. Rebend your front leg, come back into crescent lunge. Block is in your right hand, reach it up to the ceiling. Bend your elbow, take the block behind your back, and see if you can grab hold of it with your left. Now you may find there's a gap, so see if maybe you can catch it in your left hand and switch. So the left hand is going to hold the block now. You'll bend your elbow, reach back with the right, and see if you can catch the block in your right hand. Do that one more time to each side. So working those shoulders, an external and internal rotation. Then once you're done, you'll hold the block in your hands in front of your chest. Okay, so from here, you're going to take both blocks down in front of you. Lean your chest forward and come into Warrior 3. Notice my fingertips are to the blocks. My left leg is pressing back instead of opening out to the side. Then all you're going to do here is bend your left heel towards your butt and then re-lengthen, right? Similar to what we did on the belly. Heels to your butt, re-lengthen. Last one, heel to butt and re-lengthen. Good, lower both feet down and fold. Lift halfway, fingertips to the blocks of your shins, lengthen out through the very top of your head. Then bend the knees, hands to those blocks, or to the floor rather, and then step back, plank pose. Option to lower the knees, come all the way down to your belly. Good. So now we're going to play with a half floor bow. So left arm is going to reach forward. You're going to take the block in your right hand and push the block to your heel with that right hand. Okay, it's a little awkward with that right hand, but think like you're trying to push the block or the heel of the hand into the block. You're going to keep your left leg straight. Push into the block with your hand and your heel. So you're keeping the spine in an extended position. You're working the glute and the hamstring. Then your left arm lifts. Then your left leg lifts. So it's a half floor bow. Left arm straight, left leg straight, or at least lengthened. Then go ahead and relax. Unwind the block from behind you. Rest your forehead to your hands. You can bend the knees and windshield wiper the legs. And if you feel a lot of cramping going on in the hamstrings and the calf, then it may be a sign that you're not loading the hamstrings in that position enough. And so they get tired, right? They're not used to that type of work. Place your hands underneath your shoulders, push yourself up. Good. So as you come onto hands and knees, we're going to do the other side one final time. Take your hands onto those blocks, crawl them to the back of your mat, and come into a kneeling position. Stay here for one breath. In through the nose and out through your nose. Tuck the toes under, drop your heels down, and lift your knees up. Come into your squat, any height, however low your squat is right now. Maybe hands to the floor, maybe hands to your chest. Take a deep inhale wherever you are. And exhale. Hands to those, or grab the blocks, dig through your heels, and stand. Good. Now, right foot stays back. Step your left foot forward as you come into your crescent lunge. Left knee is bent deeply, right leg is a little softer here, okay? Then set the block that's under your right hand to the floor. Take that block that's in your left hand, place it behind your back, and lean your chest forward. So pause. You're going to hold onto the block in your left hand. Reach the right arm forward. Circle the right arm up and overhead, and grab the block in your right hand. Then keep the block where it is in your right hand. Reach the left arm forward. Circle that left arm up and back, and grab the block. Good. Take the block in front of you. Rebend your front leg, come back into your crescent lunge. You're going to hold the block in your left hand, reach it up to the ceiling. Bend your elbow and try to pass the block behind your back. Maybe that means you find a moment where you kind of catch it in between. And then switch, right arm goes up, bend your right elbow, bend the left elbow, and grab the block. So kind of like a Gomukhasana. Do that one more time on each side. You may notice one side is a bit more challenged than the other. Once you're done, block is in front of you. Place both blocks to the ground, level 3. Come onto your fingertips as light as you can on those blocks, and then lean forward. Right leg is going to lift off the ground for warrior 3. Push down through your left heel, so you're nice and stable on the left hip. Chest forward. Kick your right heel towards your butt. Then re-lengthen. Do that twice more. Heel to butt and lengthen. Try to keep the knee as high off the floor or towards the ceiling as possible as you're doing this. So already working with that floor bow shape. And then once you get 3 rounds of that, relax that right foot down and fold. Lift halfway. Fingertips to those blocks. Lengthen through the top of the head. Then bend your knees, move the blocks to the side, and step back into your plank pose. Pause here. Again, option is always to lower the knees. Otherwise, bend your elbows and come all the way to your belly. All right, we're going to work with that half floor bow on the other side. So you're going to take the block in your left hand, take the block to your heel and your hand. So you want it the longest setting. Kick your heel to the block, push your hand into the block. Reach the right arm forward and see if you can lift your chest into that floor bow, Dhanurasana, just working the half floor bow right now. And then go ahead and relax. Rest your forehead to your hands, bend your knees, and windshield wiper the legs. All right. So the reason we're trying this variation of floor bow is that it's different, right? You get different results. It's not necessarily one is better than the other. It's just the approach is different, and therefore what you get is different. So I'll give you the option later to try the more traditional variation, but let's give this version a try. So it really encourages for more, I would say, active engagement in the legs with less leverage. So what you're going to do is take both blocks to your heels, okay? Holding onto it with your hands. Now, if it feels a little too much on the shoulders, then you can work with what you did previously, block to the heels and to your butt. Okay, so I'll show you that option as well. So work with whichever one feels best right now. Whether you're pushing your hands into the blocks with the heels of the hands, or just keeping your arms by your side. Kick your heels to your butt, try to lift the knees, lift the chest, fly your arms by your side, like you're trying to reach to your feet. Hold. Keep pressing those heels towards your butt. You're here for 5, continue breathing. 4, 3, 2, and rest. Take the blocks out, set them to the side, and again, you can rest and bend your knees and windshield wiper them. Okay, so now I'll give you the opportunity to work the more traditional variation. So you'll kick your heels towards your butt, and this is where that leverage comes into play. You reach around and you grab the tops of the feet. Now, if that feels like it's a little too much on the shoulder, a little too strenuous to reach back and grab the foot, this is where the strap can come in. You can take the strap, loop it around the tops of the feet. It's a little hard to get it there. Once you got it, you're good. And you can hold onto it with your hands. So you just add more length to the arms, all right? Then from there, whether you're using the strap or you have your hands to your feet, you're going to kick your heels towards, or away from you, rather, as you lift the chest, okay? So whether you have the strap or you have the feet, you're going to push your feet into your hands, press your hands into the feet, so there's resistance. Notice the difference. Take a deep inhale and a deep exhale. Go ahead and relax. Press your forehead to your hands, bend your knees, and windshield wiper the legs. So whether you have a preference or not, doesn't necessarily, I mean, it does matter, but it's not that it means one is right, one is wrong, or one is better or worse, because what you experience may be different from what someone else experiences. Go ahead and take your hands underneath your shoulders, press yourself up, and on top of that, if we only do the same thing in one particular way, right, then that's all we'll know. That's all we'll be good at. So it's good to try to diversify, to try different things, and to explore different routes on the mat here, just as we do in our daily lives. So as you press yourself up, go ahead and have a seat with your legs out in front of you, or sitting in a cross-legged position, I should say. And as you're sitting upright, legs cross-legged, if you need some support, you can slide your block underneath your seat or a rolled up blanket or towel to support you. Go ahead and take your arms out in front of you. Cross the right arm on top and grab a hold of your knees. Notice how I have to lift my knees up to do this. Lean backwards, round your spine, and curl your chin to your chest. Keep your right hand where it is. Reach your left arm up towards the ceiling. Left arm. Then pause. Notice my right hand is still reaching across and holding onto the outside of the knee. You're going to lean your upper body towards your right. So using leverage and traction and resistance to create that stretch. Now, wherever your chest is right now, notice where it's pointing. Now angle it down towards your left knee. Reach your left arm across. So now you're Instead of moving or stretching more on the side of the body, you may start to get more in your back. Then lift yourself upright. Take your left hand behind you on the floor. Sit up nice and tall. Inhale. And exhale as you look over that left shoulder and start to rotate. Now this is an example of leverage, right? Pushing your hands into the floor, into your legs. Now just be mindful that you're not using too much leverage and pushing yourself too far. Come back to center, keeping your legs in this cross position, fold forward. Now again, just to give you an idea of differences here, you can hinge more at the hips, right? So that's going to be more about the outer glute, outer hip, or you can round at your spine. So if you round at your spine, you're not going to fold forward as far. And as a matter of fact, you may want to use leverage by pushing into the ground, curling the chin to the chest, and thinking like you're trying to press your mid-back towards the wall behind you. So two very different approaches. Not one is necessarily better than the other. You just get different results. So it's important to ask yourself, why would I take one approach over the other, right? Which one suits me right now? Because every day is different, right? Just like your values, you have those overall values, but maybe at one point in time, depending on the scenarios you find yourself in, one value may really heighten over the other, right? Or one of your values, maybe you have a ton of values, though you have those top three, right? Out of all those values, one may start to be of more importance based on where you're at in your life. Go ahead and sit all the way up. Switch the crossing of your legs. All right, now we'll do the other side. So arms out in front. Cross your left arm on top this time. Grab a hold of your knees and then round your spine as you lean back. And as you lean back, imagine like you're trying to push your legs down towards the floor, creating more leverage here. Keep your left hand where it is, reach the right arm up towards the ceiling. Take a deep inhale. Exhale, lean your upper body towards your left. Good. And try to keep hold of the outside of your right leg or right knee to give you more leverage. Now, right now your chest is probably pointing a little bit more to the side of the room. Now I want you to angle it down towards your left knee and reach your right arm across the body so that you're creating more of an angle to stretch in your back. Sit upright, take your right hand behind you on the ground, sit up tall, inhale. Exhale, rotate and look over your left shoulder. Again, just be mindful of how much leverage, how much you're pushing with your hands to work into the twist. Try to work as honestly as possible. Come back to center, unwind your arms. Again, I'm going to show you the side profile view so you see what I mean. You can either hinge more at your hips. So you're just going to fold straight forward. Notice my back. The upper back may be rounded, but my lower back is relatively flat. Or you can hinge more at your spine, hands to the floor. You can even push into the ground. And notice how I'm rounding more at my back, especially the mid to low back. So find whichever approach works best for you today. And then sit all the way up. Lengthen those legs out in front of you. Take an inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, reach forward. Now you can grab your feet, you can take your hands to your legs, to the floor. You can use your strap. Just kind of find where you're at right now. And then slowly roll all the way up. You can scoot yourself forward just so you have space at the back of your mat. We're going to roll down slowly with control. So legs along, arms reaching forward, take a breath in. exhale, slowly roll to your back. Go slow for 5. Dig down through your heels. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Full body stretch. Reach the arms overhead. Find a big sigh. Find a big yawn. Any final movements, stretches, anything that you feel you need. And as you're ready, go ahead and unwind into your final Shavasana. Legs can go long, arms can come out wide, or you can find any other shape that you feel you need right now. And then maybe you close your eyes or soften the gaze. It's so important, I find, to reflect, not necessarily to ruminate, but to give ourselves the opportunity to process our experiences. And that's exactly what this practice is all about, to being with the full process, the full experience of the practice here on the mat, utilizing this time not just to move, to sweat, to I guess you can say work on the exterior, on the surface, but to really dive deeper, to ask ourselves more in-depth questions, to have those deeper conversations within ourselves, and utilizing the movement part of the practice as an opportunity to do that, as a vehicle to help us get there. As you've arrived here in your Shavasana, can you stay with this experience? Whether you're doing something physically or not, this is just as important. So if you find yourself ruminating over the past or worrying about the future, come back to the breath, come back to the here and now. Maybe closing your eyes helps you. Maybe placing your hands to your heart and to your belly to kind of ground you helps. To give yourself permission. Perhaps repeating, inhaling to yourself as you inhale. And exhaling as you exhale. Give yourself a little bit of time here to be fully present with this. Take just 3 more cycles of breath. And gently begin to expand your awareness beyond the breath, beyond the body, perhaps to the sounds around you. As you move into the rest of your day, as you transition forward, don't forget you have these tools here at your disposal. You can always return to those reflection questions. You can always expand on them. You can always utilize the mindfulness aspect of the practice, the connection that you've built to your body, your mind, your breath, whenever you need it. As you're ready, you can wiggle your fingers and your toes. You can circle the wrists and the ankles in one direction and the other. Maybe it feels good to stretch the arms overhead. As you're ready, go ahead and find your way to a comfortable seated position. Take your time getting there, however which way you want to get there. You can rest your hands to your thighs or in your lap. Together, let's take one more deep breath in and sigh out. I thank you for taking this time out of your busy schedule to join in this class. I hope you, as you move forward into the rest of your day, am able to utilize these tools that you've practiced here in your daily life. As a symbol of my gratitude, I bow to you.